So, Om Shanti. All right, we're going to start our main event now in a moment or so. So, if I could have everybody's attention, if everybody could take their seats. Come, make yourself comfortable. Take one of these chairs. There are a lot of empty chairs in the front, and you're welcome to take those too. So let's thank Sister Anjani. Is she around? With a big round of applause for the lovely meditation she conducted. Did you all truly feel peaceful? Yes or no? Did you feel that in this little time that you spent in meditating, were you able to experience yourself contributing to world peace as well? Everybody did? To some extent, a little bit. I'm sure there was a moment or so where your mind drifted away, but then again, with her beautiful meditation commentary, I'm sure it brought you back and you were able to give peace to the world around you. So wonderful. I would like to start by thanking all of you for coming to this 5th annual Peace in the Park event. It's really been 5 years. We have been doing it regularly every year. Earlier we used to do it in the Brookfield Park in Augusta, but then we felt inspired to come to Aiken because we saw that Aiken is filled with a lot of very educated people, very eclectic people, people who have a very open mind and heart. So, and then we were looking around, we found this beautiful park, and I just feel so blessed that we finally agreed to come here, and we got this date with this pavilion and everything. So we booked it. But I just want to give you all a little bit of background of how it all started. But before that even, I want to introduce myself. I'm Shwetank Agarwal. I am part of the Brahma Kumaris organization. For some of you, that organization is not something that you're familiar with, right? Have you heard of Brahma Kumaris before? All right, some of you have. Wonderful. So for me, 20 years back when I was trying to go through my medical school as I was in internship, and as you know, some of you would know, life of a semi-doctor, because at that time I wasn't full doctor, is not very easy. There were a lot of stresses, a lot of big things happening, and I wanted to really understand what life is all about. I would see death every day, I would see sickness and illness every day, and I wanted to do something more than what I was doing, and I felt that conventional medicine that I was practicing was doing only so much. And then I happened to come about this, somehow this organization did a beautiful program at the medical school about meditation. I just happened to go there. And as I went there, there was another wonderful sister, just like Sister Anjani, who was doing the meditation commentary. There was some talk before that about meditation. Somehow I don't remember even a word of that. But I remember that meditation commentary gave me an experience of a different world altogether. True peace that I had never experienced before. And I said, there is something to this and I want to learn more. And as I went to learn about the meditation, the course was very simple, how to meditate really. It was 7 sessions, and all of those were sort of done in a very simple form, almost like an 8th grader, 6th grader kind of simple language. And it touched my heart profoundly, and I started practicing, and things have never been the same. And so I came to know that Brahma Kumaris is actually an international organization. It has centers across the world, thousands of centers actually in pretty much every country of the world. We, as in Brahma Kumaris, we kind of look at each other as part of a family, you know, where we see God as our parent and we all are brothers and sisters, because truly we are. We may be different on the exterior, right? Because of maybe our I don't know, the where we have come from, our nationalities, our professions, the color of our skin, even our opinions, even our thoughts, and all that can sometimes set us apart. But really speaking, we are one family, and that's what Brahma Kumaris really taught me. But also, I realized that it is truly about our own inner peace, and we are the ones who are responsible in creating peace in our lives. And the way to do that is through meditation. And meditation is pretty much just helping us understand that peace exists within us. We don't have to go around searching for peace, but truly peace exists within us. And all these realizations, when they came to me, there was no looking back. Truly. I've learned so much, and over the past several years, we have been inspired to serve others, teach meditation to others, which we have done wherever we have gone. We moved to Augusta area about 6 years back, 7 years back actually. And so one morning we just had this thought that although we are meditating, we are doing great, but people around us don't know about meditation, and they need to be informed at least. Some sort of, education has to happen. And as a physician too, I see so much of illness there, and I feel that people have too much of stress, and stress is the number one killer, we know now. So one day we decided to go to a park. We went to a park in Augusta. We took a banner where we wrote learn meditation, and we just sat there, and a lot of people started coming and asking questions about it, and so on and so forth. So from that small thing, then we told other people, and other people also got excited, and one thing led to the other. An actual organized piece in the park started some 6 years back. And we have continued that because there has always been so much of success. So many people come together for this. People actually come from far and wide. And today, again, just like last year, it's truly an international meeting, international event. Because we have some people who have come from India, some people who have come from Canada as well, just for this, from Montreal. And I'll introduce all of them to the rest of you. In fact, there is a planning team, a team that worked very hard for the past 6 months, every week, conference calls, just to get this all together, and I'll invite them later too, and you'll meet all of them. But anyway, so today we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have this central or the main event where in a little bit we will have some performances, wonderful ones. I'm sure you all will enjoy those. And then there'll be an interfaith dialogue, a panel discussion, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that as well. After that, we will have booths. We have booths, and we will have the opportunity to explore all of these booths. So there is something for everyone, of all age groups, of all interests. We'll have, for example, face painting. Face painting, usually kids like to do that, but even adults sometimes. So you're welcome to enjoy that. There's henna tattoos. There are mind empowering games that are going to happen too. There's going to be a meditation hut, and and of course, angel craft activity for kids too. So the meditation booth, for some reason we have lost the banner, so we don't have a banner for that right now, but there's a booth there where we will have live meditation experience that Sister Anjani is going to conduct. She's going to talk about meditation and conduct the meditation as well. So that will happen. So this main event should finish by 2:15. So we will have one conversation and experience at 3, then 4, and then 5. So make sure that you are available to go into that and learn more and experience more. Apart from that, there is going to be a spiritual exhibit tent as well, or booth, where you can learn more about the philosophy, the body of knowledge that helps us practice the meditation. There's lemonade and bread and sandwich actually for all of you to enjoy. You feel free to consume those. Is there anything I'm missing? There's kites for peace. You will get an opportunity to paint and draw and write whatever message you have for the world on that kite, and you can also fly the kite. All right. So a lot of wonderful things. Also, I just want to let you know that every hour on the hour, we'll play a meditation music, and we will have a guided commentary by Sister Anjani. Every hour on the hour would mean 3, 4, 5. And after that, she's going to take you there to the meditation booth and do the meditation with all of you. But during that time, I inspire all of you to stop whatever you are doing and just tune in. Tune into your inner peace and see how that feels. For a little bit, just stop doing what you're doing at that time, whenever you hear the music, and try to experience the peace. It's really very empowering. We call it as traffic control. Just like when you have a red light when you're driving, and the light turns red, you got to stop. Similarly, if you listen to this music, and that is an indication that you got to stop doing what you're doing and go within, empower yourself, and that way you will find, that's what I have found in my life, that you are much more successful. You can do whatever you wanting to do in a much better way, much cleaner way, because you have empowered yourself. All right, sounds great. Yeah, so everybody, if you could register yourself, there's a registration booth right here. You'll get a green wristband, pardon me, that will tell us that you have registered yourself. That way, you can put your contact information, your email, phone number. Please write as legibly as you can, so that we can let you know about future events. We have very regular meditation sessions, insight sessions, in our North Augusta Meditation Center. It's on Saturdays usually, but sometimes we change dates. But all that information can go to you. Yeah, and yes, thank you very much. Tomorrow, after all of this, at 10 o'clock at the North Augusta Meditation Center, there is going to be an insight session by our wonderful guest speaker, Sister Anjani, 10 to 11:30. So I invite all of you to come for that, and I hope you don't miss that. All right? It's free, by the way, free. Yes. Well, what can beat free, right? Free and empowering. All right. So now, is David set up already? David was going to play the piano. Not yet. All right. So what's the first thing that we can do? If he was the one who was supposed to do that first. Drumming? Okay, then we'll start with drumming. So I'm going to invite Marvin Graham. He is a very good friend of mine. He works at Augusta University. He is a pro when it comes to drumming. We had him a couple of years back, and it was almost like 5 or 6 performances that he had given, and he had brought a group of people actually on that day. We all enjoyed it. So today we're going to listen to him drumming for all of us, and he'll set the rhythm, he'll set the tone for the rest of the event. All right. Let's welcome Marvin with a big round of applause.
Greetings, everyone. How are you? Shanti. Om Shanti. It's a pleasure and a joy to be back again with you all. A couple years ago, I did this. I had a group of people with me, but this year it was more at the last minute. I couldn't get in touch with it, but I figured I'd come out, just to help, just to do my part and enjoy this with you. So basically, I'm just gonna take you through some small rhythms for breathing and whatnot, and try to have a good time. Okay? breathe and listen. Eya, eya, eya. Eya, eya, eya. Eya, eya, eya. Eya, eya, eya. Bumpity bop. Bumpity bop. Bumpity bop. Bumpity bop. Thank you. Thank you. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Dunk that go on. Oh. Yes. How much time do I have? Huh? About how much? 2 3 minutes? Okay, that's fine. Yes. I want to thank you, each and every one of the organization. I want to thank you all for allowing me to come back this year. I'm hoping to be present next year, this time with the group. I will say, as he said in the beginning, I'm a good friend, but he's a good friend. He's almost like a mentor to me. I met him when I was at the hospital, and since then, He's imparted a huge portion of meditating into my life. And I want to thank him for that. And I thank you all for that too. So continue that. Continue that, because meditation can take you places that you never even imagined that you would go. But it is a place of peace. It is. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marvin, again. All right. So next is a dance by a child who's also a yogi. Can you believe it? A child who's also a yogi? Huh? Usually yogis, when you think about yogis, what do you think? The old people with a beard and everything, right? But here's a child who's a yogi. She gets up very early in the morning to meditate. She's always very peaceful, as far as I've seen though, but it could be different other times. But she has come from Michigan with her mom and dad. And her mom and dad, her proud mom and dad, are somewhere close by, I guess. And where's the child? Okay. So she's going to come onto the stage. Do you already have the song ready? So she's going to dance to a very beautiful song by Michael Jackson, correct? We Are the World. All right, the name of the song is We Are the World, and I'm sure you've heard it, right? So you're going to enjoy this for sure. We enjoyed it last year when she came and did a dance on some other song. I can't remember what the song was. It was Heal the World. Now this time it is We the World. All right, wonderful. All right, let's give her a big hand. Her name is Sia. I'm sure I said that. I don't know. Maybe I did.
to make a brighter day, so let's start giving.
Wasn't it wonderful? Yeah. So shall we have the proud parents also come up here? Huh? So that everybody can see them too? No? Come. Yeah, that's Swati and Girish from Michigan. Right? Let's give them, all three of them, a big hand of applause. Wonderful. Okay. That's an angel for them. All right. So next is a piano performance. Right? I think it'll take a moment or so for David to set up, and meanwhile I'll introduce him. David is a known performer. He has been playing the piano for a very long time. Whenever I have interacted with him, it has always been a very peaceful, very nice interaction. And I don't know where he is hiding right now. I'm sure he's somewhere close by. Is he? Yeah. So he performs at the UU Church regularly. He performs quite a few places, I guess. And we enjoy his music. It is very soothing, very calm music that he plays. And I'm sure you'll enjoy it as soon as he shows up. So just take a moment while he's coming. We can take a moment to meditate even. Pause. Can someone check? Wait.
The setup isn't done because I told him he was going to be playing at the parade.
Oh, at the parade. Okay.
Realized it was part of the
No,
main
okay,
stage.
no, we don't have to. Okay, so I'm sorry. So David will perform later. He's still not set up. And I guess that's it with the performances right now. All right.
She has a song, so she wanted to do it now or tomorrow?
Which one?
She is supposed to sing a song tomorrow.
Musician that's coming to join him.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I'll introduce the two musicians who are going to join us, I guess, in a little bit, and they're going to perform later. So now we're going to go into the interfaith conversation, the panel discussion. All right, and I'm sure our lovely panelists, our wonderful panelists are here, and we look forward to hearing from all of you. So I'm going to invite all of you to come up. Please, if you could help put 4 chairs. All right, welcome. You Heather, right?
I'm Heather. Nice to meet you.
Panelists invite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chairs. 6 chairs.
6 chairs, please. 6 chairs. My printer wasn't working.
I think we can move these away. We can give them this time. This 6.
Can I have it on a stand because I need to scroll?
Thank you, sister. All right. So no, Gemini is going to sit here. All right. So let me introduce to all of you our wonderful panelists, and maybe I could go from left to right. I guess we can start with Heather. All right. So Heather is an assistant professor of history and political science and philosophy. She works at the University of South Carolina, Aiken. Her areas of studies have been history of race and ethnicity, especially with a special focus, I guess, on Portuguese and Spanish. She also has taken interest in early modern intellectual history, colonial Latin American history, and Atlantic history. That's quite a lot of history. So today could be a history class for all of us. All right, let's welcome her. All right. Next is Reverend Deborah Guthrie. Yes.
Guthrie, yes.
Did I say it right? Guthrie?
Guthrie.
All right. Pardon me if I didn't say it right. But anyway, so she is from the Unitarian Church, the Aiken Unitarian Universalist Church. Reverend Deborah Guthrie has served the church and other churches, the UU churches, for several years. She has a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from the East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina. And she received the Master of Divinity from the Andover Newton Theological School in Boston, Massachusetts. And she completed clinical pastoral education at Hebrew Senior Life in Boston, where she also was serving the First Church of Leo Minister as their ministerial intern. She studied the immigration issue at the border between Tucson, Arizona, and Nogales. Is that how you say Nogales? Nogales, Mexico, through the Border Links program. Thank you very much. So her ministry draws heavily on personal story, open, honest dialogue, and close listening. We look forward to hearing from you as well, Deborah. Let's give her a Next is Bishop Gregory Godsey. Sorry, thank you. He's the presiding bishop of the Old Catholic Churches International. He's a bishop ordinary of the diocese, of Saint Maximilian Kolb. He's a pastor of Saint Francis Old Catholic Church in Augusta, Georgia. He's the founder and managing editor of Convergent Streams magazine. Wow, that's wonderful. In 1999, Bishop Godsey had started to question his calling to the priesthood within the Roman Church. He found himself unable to reconcile his beliefs with those of the magisterium on issues such as clerical celibacy, papal infallibility, and close communion. This is when his searching brought him to the independent sacramental movement. Wow. The Old Catholic Churches International is an inclusive and affirmative church, and where they strive to reach out to the least, the lost, and the forgotten. We are broken people working to help other broken people to find the divine. That's beautiful. Thank you. Let's give it. Then we have Mr. Sam Booher. Is that how you say it? Wonderful. So he's the co-chairman of the Sierra Club at Savannah River Group, Augusta. That's founded by the legendary conservationist John Muir in 1982. The Sierra Club is now the nation's largest and most influential grassroots environmental organization. Their success includes protecting millions of acres of wilderness, passing the Clean Air, Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act. Most recently, they have made history by leading the charge to move away from the fossil fuels that cause climate disruption. That's wonderful. You know, there's this Greta, the girl who is traveling all over the world and talking about environment. Oh, wonderful. So, cause climate disruption and towards a clean energy economy. Sam was born in January 1942 in a very small coal mining town in southwest Virginia. He attended a two-room schoolhouse that had one teacher. In those days, young men from coal communities had two choices. First, go in the coal mines, or second, join the army. And what did you do? I'm sure. Sam took a different option and did something non-conventional and worked summers at heavy construction, which paid for the college tuition at the Citadel. After graduating, he joined the army and experienced 3 tours in Vietnam as a rifleman. After 24 years, he retired. Sam has co-chaired the Sierra Club's Savannah River Group in Augusta for the past 24 years. Wow. We are honored to have all of you with us today. And then now we have Sister Anjani. You all did have a chance to experience the meditation commentary that she did. So for those of you, for us, she's so familiar. We know her so well. But for those of you who don't know her, she is a student and a teacher of the Brahma Kumaris. She lives in New York, originally from Guyana. Right? And she takes care of the main Brahma Kumari Center, the headquarters of the America, that is Global Harmony House. And as I was sharing yesterday, she wears lots of hats. She's very busy. She takes care of so many different things. We visit Global Harmony House, the main center, very often. And we always are welcomed with such a beautiful heart that she has. And such open heart and so welcoming all the time. And like a mother, literally, I mean, even mother, the real mother can't be that welcoming. And the way she feeds, the way she takes care of each one of us, it's amazing. She's a true yogi. We have seen her go through so many different things. And we know that she had several physical things going on too, with the body, and how with the power of meditation, she conquered all of that. And I feel very inspired by her. I feel that there's so much to learn from her. I've already learned a lot, and there's always so much to learn from her. So we welcome you with our warm heart, and a good round of applause. Thank you very much. All right, and last but not the least, we have Gemini. All right. Gemini is going to be the one who takes us through the panel discussion. Gemini is a chartered accountant, right?
Yeah, CPA.
CPA. She lives and works in Atlanta. She has been part of the Brahma Kumaris for quite a few years too. And she actually has been part of the Peace in the Park ever since it started, for the past 6 years. Wonderful. So thank you, Gemini, for joining us. Yeah. And as you know, the topic for this discussion is how are we connected? So now I'm going to pass this mic over to you, Gemini, and you can take us through this. Thank you.
Thank you. Om Shanti, thank you all for making it to today's event, and especially thank you to our guests on stage to help us walk through this very important topic, as I'm sure you will feel that within your hearts. Before I start, I'd just like an easy way to address you so that I can call upon someone specifically if the question warrants. So how should I address you? Heather's fine? Okay.
Deborah.
Deborah's fine? Okay. Gregory? Sam? Yeah, pick that one up. And Sister Anjani. Awesome, thank you. So I'm sure we all enjoyed that beautiful, beautiful dance by the little angel, Sia. And I can't think of a more appropriate topic or song to really kick off this panel discussion, because we are the world and we are the ones who will make it a better place. And with that in mind, we are also the children. And so in my mind, that alone brings unity amongst us and creates a sense of connection amongst us. And so maybe in like one or two sentences, if I could just maybe get each one of yours thought on just what it means from your background, having Heather, that ethnicity element to you, Deborah having that pastoral background, and then the bishop, your self-exploration in making those choices, and then Sam, in terms of the environment. These are all aspects that each one of us goes through in our minds. We deal with ourselves, we deal with the environment, we have relationships, we question our faith, and these are day-to-day things that all of us question. So, Sister Anjali, you can maybe help us in your perspective of having that global vision as well and sharing your thoughts. So maybe we can start with Heather.
Sure. I mean, as a historian, we're all connected historically. So the same history connects us. There was a time when history wasn't connected, when each people lived far away from one another and didn't know what the other people were doing. And China and Europe didn't have a connected history, but we're all part of a global capitalism that has created and moved people and things and shaped the world with ideas that like race and ideas that divide us, ideas like class and all of the other ideas that we have that are social divisions that divide us as a human family and historically, and those are our realities and the roots that exist in the reality that we all live in. And history is kind of like the psychologist for society, to try to look into those roots and those historical moments that shaped the way that the world is.
Thank you. Yeah, it might be a good idea to hold the mic closer so the voice projects a little bit better. Awesome. So, yeah, Deborah, if you want to...
Should I go?
Yes.
So as Unitarian Universalist, we are a tradition that came out of two different Christian traditions, but we took a very sharp left turn. And we are non-creedal now, religion, and so it gives us the opportunity to follow our own spiritual paths as individuals, and some of that is gleaning. So what we have learned, most of us have learned from gleaning from other religions, is that almost every religion comes back to this unity of the universe. You know, feeling at one with the universe is sort of the spiritual path or the spiritual enlightenment that we seek. And so we see that in a lot of different religions, and we uphold that in our principles. We have several principles that we go by. And our seventh principle is we affirm to promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. And so we see ourselves as a part of a web of life, and so every other human being and every other living thing is a part of that web, and we are here to promote respect for that web. In addition, we also are people of science, and so science tells us that we are very much alike. Our DNA sequences are, like we're 99.9% alike under the skin, and so we're not different. And we learned from quantum entanglement that we are part of one big ocean. We seem separated, but we are part of an ocean. So my actions have ripples that affect other people. And so we take those things we learn from science and other religions seriously, and we incorporate them, and we have a goal and a vision of a one world community. So I like to sit here and to say I totally disagree wholeheartedly with our president. I believe that our goal of a one world community is the only goal that we human beings should have, and nationalism and is totally abhorrent to me. It doesn't jive with my religion. And in order for us to help heal our world and our climate, we have to work together. And so I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Through my faith exploration, I went through a real crisis of faith as a young man, and lost my faith for a while. For several years, really didn't practice much of anything before moving on to what would eventually become what I am today. And one of the things that I realized in that, what St. John of the Cross calls the dark night of the soul, was that the one constant in the world is that spark of the divine, as I call it, that unites us all. That soul, that spirit, that inner part of us, that deepest part of us, that part that is inherently good, that part of us that is holy and peaceful and loving, that wants to better the world and make the world a better place. And that's what ultimately led me back to my faith, was that that understanding and that knowledge of that spark of the divine within me. And I think that the sooner we as a world come to that realization, the better off we're all going to be. It's hard to stand on a battlefield and shoot somebody when you begin to realize that the life that you take is part of that collective spark of the divine. It becomes very difficult to argue over resources and oil and everything else when you understand that there are people who are suffering and dying because of our greed. So that's part of what has led me to where I am today, and I'm thankful to be here today.
Thank you. Sam.
One of the things that connects all of us is the need for clean air and clean water. And I'm amazed at the people that don't believe that think other people can live with dirty water or dirty air, but I'm going to have my clean air and clean water. And the Sierra Club is a national environmental organization. And one of the things we preach across the whole United States is we all are connected by the need for clean air and clean water. And recently, a small town here in South Carolina, Denmark, had a problem with clean water. And I think we all have a responsibility to help Denmark get back on track with having clean water to drink. And so that's kind of where the Sierra is coming from. We're also concerned about wildlife, having some place to live. The zoo shouldn't be the only place in the world that you can find wildlife. They need to have their own habitat. So clean air, clean water, habitat for wildlife to live in. And the thing is that the Sierra Club nationwide is targeting on right now is climate change. We're not going to argue with anybody that climate is always changing. If you want to say that, we'll agree with you. Climate is always changing. However, what we are doing as people is accelerating it. And we're accelerating it so fast that there are going to be changes that we're going to have to learn to live with because of the climate changing. For example, I was called in 2000. I was asked to come to a meeting down on Dolphin Island in Mobile, Alabama. And I went down to that meeting, and because of this distance from Augusta where I live, my wife and I went down the day before, and we stayed at a motel in Mobile. And that night on the evening news, they broadcast that 5 houses on Dolphin Island now had water underneath them. And they had to tear them down. But the people still wanted to pay their property tax, so when the water went down, they could rebuild. So the Mobile is letting them pay their property tax. That was in year 2000. And getting ready for this talk, I pulled up a photograph of Dolphin Island today. Now, when I went down there was an asphalt road that started on one end of the island, went down the center of the island. On both sides of this road, there were 3 houses on the left, 3 houses on the right, all the way down the full length of that island. And it's a rather long island. Today, there are almost no houses whatsoever left on Dolphin Island because the ocean and the waves now go over the whole island. And if nothing else, you've got to believe in climate change. And the oceans are rising. And we're concerned about all the cities along the coast around the world, like Miami. City of Miami, the people I think realize they're soon going to be underwater. And they're trying right now to make some short steps to delay it. And that's wonderful. But it isn't going to be delayed. We've got to recognize climate change, what's causing it. I think the children of the world understand what climate change is and what it's going to take to solve it. And I'm just hoping the children of the world can educate the adults to come on board and let's prevent it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are the children, and the children are living in the world. And so it's not only thoughts and words that we are the children, but to live in the awareness that we are the children. And as children, what are we doing for our world? And this is why it's the first aspect of the knowledge of the Brahma Kumaris is that how do we take care of our inner world? How do we make our inner world very peaceful, beautiful? And so when we create the picture of how we would like to see our outer world, we start with our inner world. The inner world creates the outer world very naturally. We would have love for our brothers and sisters because I love myself. I would have love for nature because I would also recognize that this body that I'm living in, that this is made up of the 5 elements of matter, of nature. And so having love for this body will automatically make me love Mother Nature, where I would want to care for Mother Nature, where I would want to give back to Mother Nature. So it's where the Brahma Kumaris teaches us both. Recognize yourself as who you are. Recognize that which connects us, where there is nothing like American peace and Indian peace or any part of the world. We can say that peace is different. Peace is the same. Love is the same. Happiness is the same. All the qualities that connects us brings us together as one global family. And this is why in my practice, when I started in this study of the knowledge of Raj Yoga, which is the knowledge that makes me become aware that I am this being of light. And as a being of light, I am child of the Supreme Light. That first awareness that I am a soul and I am light makes me start looking at everyone in that same awareness, that each one of us, we are the same light. So we are the same. So we may not be the same as the physical body, because if we look in this room, each one of us have a different appearance physically. Yes, the nature construct and create this body, but as beings of light, we are also same. So soul lives in a body, where body is made up of Mother Nature, and the being, we are all children of God. And so this being has the experience of the same qualities, and that is love, peace, happiness, name it. It's the same quality that each one of us have within us.
Thank you. So, having heard a synopsis of each of your background, I can already pick up common themes in what was being said. You know, the words may have been different, but the fundamental feeling was, I feel, similar. And just to maybe touch on a few, I think Sister Anjani used the word soul and light, whereas Gregory used the word spirit. And with diversity, there was mention of, you know, our race, our background, our where we came from, our history that determines who we are or has a reflection on who I am today. And with all this diversity, there's this uniqueness that, or universalness, that we are still children and we belong to the same planet. And our goal is to have mutual respect and love and fundamentally care for our environment, so that we can raise that awareness that if you care, you can't care about your little circle. You've got to care about the global circle. So that in itself, in my mind, represented universalism. So it sounds beautiful in theory. It really does, and that is the focus of the Brahma Kumaris for sure, to bring about that awareness and raise inner goodness. But on an individual level, how do I make that change? I know Sister Anjani started to talk about looking at ourselves internally, but I live in a world where I see nature, I live in a community, I experience maybe racism, or I don't, or I'm aware of my skin color, or I'm not, and it matters to me, or it doesn't. And I follow a certain spiritual path because maybe my parents raised me that way, and I just never thought to question it. There's so many different aspects. So if there was one pinpoint that you could maybe give from your background, what would it be? Just one task I could do on an individual level that will make me better connected with this global family. Please feel free if you want to reach out and just start saying your piece.
Well, I have a really hard time pinpointing it to one thing. I think there's a dualism and a paradox in a lot of our a spiritual basis. And so what I say is do your spiritual practice, and whether that is meditation or prayer or study or whatever your spiritual practice is. It could be dance, it could be singing, it could be anything. Do that and tend to your own spirit, but also advocate for other people, however that looks. And for us in Unitarian Universalist Church, it's working for justice and you know, in the environment and stuff like that, and against race-based discrimination and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like there's a dualism that has to happen. I know for me, as a gay woman growing up in North Carolina, it was very difficult for me to advocate for myself as a gay woman. But when we started to advocate for marriage equality for gay people, and I started to think about the generation that comes behind me, I stepped up. And when I did that, it just opened up a whole world for me, because it just helped me to accept who I am by advocating for who someone else is. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So,
yeah.
so there's a duality there that I think that you have to tend to both parts.
Thank you. Actually, I feel like you've touched on quite a few things to do on there, you know. Advocate, feel for what you believe in and do something about it, and nurture your spirit. That's something that we could easily do, because we all know what we love, and just continue growing ourselves that way. So thank you. Anyone else?
I think too, and I spoke about this week, it's kind of interesting that the question, and that is, for a lot of, especially people in the Christian faith, we seem to have forgotten that advocacy, but action, going out into the world and doing something. And I hear a lot of pastors nowadays tell me, you know, my church, they love to come to church, they love to do things here at church, but they don't want to do anything in the community. They don't want to help the community at all. And so one of the things our parish has been focused on is reaching out to the homeless, trying to help the homeless as much as humanly possible. Because I think that we tend to forget, and I said this a little while ago, we tend to forget that spark of the divine in each of us, that inherent dignity of all humanity. And it's so easy to walk down the street, especially in Augusta, Georgia, and where there are a ton of homeless people on the street, especially in downtown Augusta, and to just walk past them and ignore them. You know, to sit and to think, well, you know, they're there because of their own issue. They're there because they're a druggie or an alcoholic, or because they're a gambler, or because they're, you know, whatever. The reality is a lot of those people on the streets are there for circumstances beyond their control. You know, just this year, my own family came to a point where we were so very close to being on the street ourselves. And all because my wife got sick and couldn't work anymore. And so it took a long while for her to get back to a point where she could work, and we almost lost everything. And we would have been one of those people on the streets. A lot of those people on the streets are veterans who don't get adequate care and adequate assistance. And a growing population of them are LGBTQI youth who, because their families cannot accept who they are, they throw them out and they end up on the streets. So one thing I would encourage you to do is to try to reach out to your fellow human being. If it's nothing more than just offering to take them to the restaurant and get something to eat, to give them some clothing or to give them some assistance in some way, to show them that you care and to honor the spark of the divine within them by helping them.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm amazed. When I grew up, you could not buy bottled water in a grocery store. In the last few years, every food store I go into, they have pallets full of bottled water in these little clear plastic bottles. I'm at the point I'm going to start asking people, why do you buy bottled water? Is the water that comes out of the spigot at your home, is that not clean water? You know, and I'm afraid the answer I'm going to get, I'm scared of the water. There's lead in water. You know, all these other answers. But do you realize that every year we make enough bottled water, clear plastic containers for bottled water, if laid end on end, would go around the world 55 times. We make the weight of the plastic that we make to make these bottled water containers is equal to the weight of every human being living on this earth. We make that much in plastic every year. At least once a week, if not more, sometimes 2 or 3 times a month, I read about a whale that is washed up on shore, and they open up the whale to find out why it died, and it starved to death. Why did that whale starve to death? Anybody got an answer? The plastic in its body. Non-biodegradable plastic bags. There were 30 of them in a whale recently. Those 30 bags inside the whale kept it from being able to utilize the other food it was eating because it blocked it. Our whales worldwide are starving to death. Our turtles, what do turtles live off of? Jellyfish. What does a plastic bag look like in the ocean? A jellyfish. We're losing our turtles, we're losing our whales. There are a lot of countries in this world that the people don't buy shower shoes. They just go down to the beach and pick them up until they get a pair, because shower shoes are washing ashore with the other plastics. One of the deepest parts of the Caribbean, there's what they call a green hole, and you can scuba dive down, and that particular one is over 260 feet deep. So a person can't go that deep scuba. You have to go in a little submarine-like thing. They went down to the bottom. You know what they found in the bottom of that hole? A Coca-Cola plastic bottle. If this world does not solve the plastic problem, we're not going to have anything alive in the ocean. And most of the world depends on the fish of the ocean to live. So what we're doing is we're hurting ourselves. So I hope we can solve this plastic problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to go? Yeah.
So while we see the world is in need, we see the human spirit in the greatest need also, simultaneously. And so, what is that the human spirit is asking for? The oneness, the one family, that which we knew before, let's find it again. And let it start with me, where I reach out to my brothers and sisters, not looking at the color of the skin, not looking at anything that is physical, but looking at the world as one world family. And this is one of the attraction that I felt that I had when I came to the Brahma Kumaris, is this that unites us, that connects us, that brings us together.
Thank you. Do you have some thoughts?
Yeah, I suppose that coming back to this idea of history and the way that we're all interconnected by historical factors that have shaped this, capitalism has shaped all of the horrors in our recent human past. Slavery was shaped by capitalism. The movement of the Native Americans off of this land was shaped by capitalism. The environmental degradation that he's talking about is shaped by capitalism. So this force that's part of our lives and that we're all intricately involved in ourselves, we're all participants in this thing. It's a reality that is our reality. How can we imagine a reality that is outside of this particular historical reality that has been created? We can all kind of envision, right, our unity and our peace and the oneness of the world. We can all get beyond our individual selves in meditation and our egos, but we have a very tough time imagining a system where we could live that is outside of the system that we are created in, right, the divisions that we have inherited from this history and from this practice that really is an economic practice and a historical process.
Thank you. So I just want to do a check. I want to do a check for time just so that we stay on schedule. We have enough time. Okay, great. Awesome. So maybe what we could do is start off with Sister Anjani and have you take up a question on climate change. How do I, as a soul, as a being of light, how do I affect the environment on a spiritual level?
We do every moment. Just imagine that we can see all the things that's going wrong around us and we could get angry about it. And how is that helping the world if I get angry? We can see the plastic in the fish, in the whale. We can see so many animals dying. We could see the many things that's happening to our planet Earth, and we could get very upset about it. But not realizing that the thoughts that we create is also affecting the world. And so how can I start creating the right thoughts as I come into action? Because we would like to help, whether it's the fish, whether it's the whale, whether it's the human family. But we have to also see ourselves, that when there is peace within ourselves, peace within the world, it sorts of create a harmony. It sorts of create a world that each one of us we would like to live in. I remember years ago, I think it was 1986, the Brahma Kumaris did a project that was called Global Cooperation for a Better World. First, there was a project which was called Million Minutes for Peace. And so we went around the world collecting minutes for peace. And so everyone was taking 1 minute, one it's for the self and for the world, to create these thoughts of peace, giving to myself and giving back to the world. And after that project, we took up another project which was Global Cooperation for a Better World. And that means, how do I want to see myself in a better world? How would I like to see my relationships in a better world? And how would I like to see nature, Mother Nature, in a better world? And it would be amazing to remember, I was, just reflecting on that as you were speaking, is that everything that everyone created was so beautiful. Projects were created, cleaning up campaigns were created, tree planting was created, so many things, because what everyone saw, that in a better world, everyone lived in peace and harmony. And you know what? Each one of us, we know what that better world looked like. If we have to talk about it right now in a workshop, each one would have the perfect vision of what that world would look like. But all I need to do is to step out of that which I create as thoughts and words and do something practically to help the world, which is help Mother Nature and help my brothers and sisters to live in a world of peace and happiness.
Thank you. So there was some talk about accelerating, and I think it was in the context of how quickly climate change is affecting the world, and not all of us are aware about this rate, and some of us just choose to ignore that it's actually happening. But what can I do to accelerate my own inner transformation? So transformation on the level of forgetting the history that doesn't serve me, that creates some barriers, but rather creating a legacy where we live in peace and harmony. How do I accelerate action in terms of developing my faith and exploring my inner world so that I realize my core being is full of love and full of peace and full of harmony? So do you all have some thoughts on how we can get over those barriers?
I think that's one of the things that's held us back as far as climate change. We think it's so big that we are paralyzed by it. But there are so many things we can do, little things, like not buying plastic bottles,
Right.
And look at your church and your school and your place of business and what are they doing, how are they impacting the environment. But the biggest thing we can do is vote and get the politicians in there who are going to make the right rules, who are going to look after our world and our country, and don't give in to hopelessness. So with meditation, we can find that space in us where there's peace and harmony, and we can bring that forward to the world. But we can't find that if we're gonna get hung up on hopelessness. So there's no such thing as hopelessness until it's over, and it's not over yet. So let's just activate around it.
Right. Thank you.
I'd like to share a quote with you. This is from Octavio Paz. I'll read it in Spanish first in case there's any Spanish speakers. La historia tiene la realidad atroz de una pesadilla. La grandeza del hombre consiste en hacer obras hermosas y durables con la sustancia real de esa pesadilla. What he's saying there is that history and that humankind have the horrible task of trying to make something beautiful and lasting out of a nightmare.
Yeah.
And just on a personal level, for me also as a yogi, one of the kind of mantras for your root chakra is I belong, and I had a lot of trouble with that belonging, that idea of belonging, because I felt so guilty about being a human being in the modern world and all my consumption. And I felt like I was so detached from Mother Nature and from the earth and from all that was natural. And so it took me a lot of working on that mantra of belonging. And one of the things that helped me was to come back to the idea of the oneness and to come back to the idea of the central oneness of all things, so that when I saw something made of plastic, I wasn't so upset and angry like I'd see plastic and it'd freak me out, you know? And that trying to love the plastic and say, oh, that's a beautiful plastic little pen that's going to be there for 10,000 years. Thank goodness the dinosaurs existed for that. And trying to get over my kind of hating of everything, you know, to be able to belong and to know that I am just a very small part of the big thing, that I don't have that much control over any of it, and I can only be a tiny thing.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts? Yeah?
One quick thing I forgot to say earlier that really upset me was I found out you can't take these plastic clear water bottles and reuse them, because as soon as they get a little old and as soon as the sunlight hits the clear plastic, it starts taking the chemicals out of the plastic, and it's dangerous for you to reuse them. And I said, oh my goodness, you know. To answer your question, what can we do? I think Time magazine has been coming out with some fantastic major articles. One of them already was climate change. One of them was the destruction of the Arctic Wildlife Refuge. One of them was timbering. They're now trying to timber the Tongass just like somebody timbered the Amazon. They want to cut down the Tongass. You know, educate yourselves on what's going on. Time magazine. National Geographic. National Geographic has some wonderful articles on what's happening to the environment around the world, and it takes different places. So I think, number one, we all need to educate ourselves on what's going on. And I would say use a reliable resource, because there's some that aren't too reliable. The second thing is the Sierra Club has outings, and the purpose of the outings is to take people out and show them. We have bicycle outings, hiking outings, canoe outings, camping out. I've just started a program called Military Outdoor Programs, where we've got military, active duty, and retired people at Fort Gordon leading outings that are made up of active duty and dependents and all from Fort Gordon. So we're helping the military in the Fort Gordon area get out and see the area around them. And yes, I'll take them over to the Edisto River, for those of you that want me to bring them to South Carolina. So we're trying to get people out and see things. But the final comment on your question was, we've started also a letter writing program. For every time you come to one of our meetings, for an hour before the meeting starts, we'll have all the background information for you, and stamps and letters, blank letters and envelopes and everything. And we'll buy the stamps if you want to come and write a letter. And the letter can be just, don't drill the Arctic Wildlife Refuge. You know, that's all you need to say, and sign your name and address. That letter will count just as much as someone that spends 2 days writing a full-length letter. Well, that's not true, because a full-length letter is going to be a weighted piece of paper. What a lot of these politicians do is weigh or count the number of letters they get on one side of a subject, and then count on the other side how you vote on the other side. Of course, then there's some that always vote the way they're told to vote. But other than those people, letter writing does make a difference with some. So I would encourage letter writing.
Thank you.
I just want to share that the Brahma Kumaris is an international organization. And recently, the Prime Minister of India has banned plastic. And so this means it is from the highest level in the country. And so here as an organization where our headquarters is in Mount Abu, Rajasthan, India, hundreds of thousands of people visit our headquarters every year. And guess what? Everyone walks around with a plastic bottle. Or we walk around with our plastic bag in some form. And this year, just recently, a letter was sent out to all centers across the whole world. We are in about 130 plus countries, and everyone goes to visit. So how are we going to manage? And so a letter was sent out. No one is going to be allowed to carry a plastic bottle of water on the campus. And so everyone starts thinking that yes, we have to get our glass bottle now. And so this is an active way of helping globally. And especially when a country has taken up to ban plastic bags, and we respect that and we start, doing that, it really contributes a lot, and it tells a lot about who we are and the respect we have for Mother Nature. The Brahma Kumaris is also affiliated with the United Nations, and so what happens? We participate in these conferences of climate change. And so lots have been happening and lots have been talking about when it comes to us saving Mother Nature. But as I keep repeating, it's both the spiritual world which is in crisis and the physical world. So let's pay attention to both worlds, our inner world and our external world.
Thank you. So I think we've talked some on the outer world and really got some good tips on, in the form of education, in the form of, self-reflection, what to do, advocacy. So if we turn inwards now for a minute and talk about what can I do on an inner level, maybe an appropriate question would be, if I find myself in a circumstance where I'm feeling uncomfortable with my environment, whether it's on a physical level because of climate change, or on a level where I feel dissatisfied with my faith because of the structure around it, or I don't feel comfortable in my skin. What can I do, or what is my go-to place to get comfortable? Do I go to a church and pray? Do I go to my meditation center and sit for a couple minutes? What is a good resolution to help bring that inner calm? Because I feel like once you've mastered that, you can then step out in the outer world and do your piece again. So any thoughts on self-help?
I always like to go first. I'm like, me first. So I think any of those things you mentioned are, I think it's individual, so people decide. But I think a lot of it is about waiting. I think that our natural state is calm and peaceful, and we just have to wait out those emotions or those things that come in and kind of disturb that. Kind of, like a pebble in the water. We have to wait till the ripples go, and then it goes back to calm. That's what I think it's about, waiting. Just wait it out.
Awesome, thank you. Anyone else?
I think that also, it is one of my people I listen to, Pema Chodron, talks about is the idea that only to the extent that I've been willing to put my mind to the meditation and to finding the peace in the past, will it be easy to find it again, and kind of taking that to heart, because it's not going to get any easier when you don't do anything.
Thank you. Anyone else?
What meditation really is, and I would say meditation plays a very, very big role in us experiencing the change we really are looking for. We have a tendency and habit to look outside of us and say, why don't you bring change to the world? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Even within families, what do we say? father should be like this, mother should be like this, children should be like this. And then what happens? There's a conflict at home. And so this is where meditation helps us move to that sacred space that is in each one of us. And what we discover in this sacred space is only that which is eternal, which always exists, and which I can move with wherever I go. So I can be in the midst of crisis, but I am the same person who was sitting in the church or sitting meditating under a tree. I'm not a different person. That when I'm faced with crisis, I change my personality and I become someone else. But I am that same person, that same being, that same individual wherever I am. But all I need to do is to remember. And what I'm remembering what I have within me. Who am I? Whom do I belong to? The world talks about God. Our currency has "In God we trust." In God we trust, and yet we cannot trust God. If we think in real life, we don't apply it. We don't use it in that awareness that I really trust God. And so these are some aspects that I need to look at and see. That am I first trusting myself? Because if I don't trust myself, I can't even trust God. I can't trust those around me. And so how can change come about? How can we bring about the change we're looking for? So that change starts with me. It starts with the thoughts I create from the moment I open my eyes in the morning. Can I say good morning to the world? Can I say good morning to God? Can I say good morning to myself? And so how much do I start from that space that is so sacred within me, and where that spreads out into my global family?
Thank you. Any other thoughts?
As you heard when he did my bio, I was born in West Virginia. I was born up a holler. Anybody not know what a holler is? I mean, you all know what a holler is. I was born up a holler. And the rules of the family at that time were, you will be home before dark. And if I wasn't home before dark, I got a beating. So I learned to come home before dark. But I could take off in the morning and go up in the hills and chase the rabbits and the squirrels and do whatever I wanted to do. Catch crawdads in a stream. I was free all day until it got dark. So where do I go now? The rest of my life, whenever I've got tension, a problem, whatever, something I need to discuss with myself, I go out in the woods. Go to one of the national parks, go to one of the state parks, just walk a trail. I don't care what's on that trail. I don't care where it's going. It'll eventually come back around to my car, and I can just go walk. And I get by myself, and I go out into nature, except for this gnat, and I can enjoy myself, and I can come to some conclusion. I can come to some resolution of whatever's bothering me and upsetting me. And so I go to nature.
Thank you. So I'm going to do a time check again, just to see if we're good. 1:30? Okay. So maybe we can have some closing remarks on, what would be your message? The theme of this afternoon's event is Peace in the Park. So how can I contribute to peace today?
Figure me out, right? So I'd like to look at everybody as my neighbor, as my brother and sister. Just start right there. Just see everybody as a potential friend, you know, whether it's somebody you just met or somebody you've seen around a few, you know, just be friendly, be nice to people. That's it.
Thank you.
Vote.
I'd just like to ask everybody that we all know somebody, and it's getting to the point where our elected officials, whether it be the county or the state or the federal government, they need to hear from us. They need to hear our views on topics, and I made light of the fact that maybe they don't read your letters, but they count them in the piles. And I feel better when I've expressed my views to my elected officials, and when I have a view and I don't tell them, then I feel bad that I haven't done my share. My share is to let elected officials know how I feel about issues and topics, whether it be climate change, whether it be anything else that troubles you. And once I write that letter and send it off, I feel a lot better. An example of this is I wrote in the Augusta Chronicle, August the 11th, I wrote a letter to the editor, and it was about combat assault weapons. I know combat assault weapons, okay? They're only made to do one thing, kill people. You can't go hunting a turkey with a combat assault weapon, okay? Why? It'll blow him up. There won't be anything to eat. You can't just, you know, combat assault weapons. You can't target practice. You pull the trigger and the target disappears. It just blows it away. They're only made for one thing, that's to kill people. And I don't understand why the military safeguards them, has them locked up, has this night watchman watching that lock all night to make sure no one goes in and gets an assault weapon out of an arsenal, but yet you can go in these stores in town and see racks of them and ammunition underneath. Yeah, I don't understand that. I'm not anti-rifle, I'm not anti-pistol, I'm anti-combat assault weapon. And so 11 August I wrote a letter, and I wrote one since, I don't remember when, but I have a second letter on the same topic saying it a different way. But I feel better when I write a letter. So going in the woods and writing letters, that's the way I feel good. And
Thank you. Just 1 minute, sister.
On a related note, Deborah Guthrie talked about patriotism and how it can be used divisively, but at the same time, America has a dream of being all, you know, anybody can be an American. There's not and so don't let someone else take away what it means to be an American or redefine that in a closed and small way. Don't let other people take our flag, our country, our identities as Americans and redefine that as white supremacists.
For me, right now it's all about giving. Giving, 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 and more giving. And giving means forgiving, because forgiving comes from giving. And so I'm not giving to those who doesn't need, you know, like earlier when we came here to the park, there was a group of our brothers and sisters, one person with a few little children, and she brought a bag with some chickpeas, canned chickpeas, and a few other things, food stuff. And she says, we would like to donate this. And so one could have the choice of saying, okay, thank you very much, and I take it. But I said to her, why don't you give to those who really need it? And you come, and we can offer you some lemonade, and we can offer you something we have here that we have been sharing with everyone, so that you can You know, you can share what you have with someone else. And so giving doesn't have to do only with giving food, giving something, but it's their feeling. What I was picking up, it was not only their feeling of giving these canned foods, right? But it's the love they had in their hearts for serving. And so this is where, if each one of us could recognize that this quality of giving is in each one of us, we will only give and not stretching our hands to say, give me. Because when I'm asking, I will be disappointed because we are all asking for the same thing. We all need the same thing. We all want the same thing. But when I give, I'm sharing that, what will happen? It will come right back to me, like what happened to those few people who came to this place in the park today and wanted to give. They got more than what they brought. And that's the act of giving. Giving does not limit us. So share all the goodness. Share whatever it is that you have. You have a piece of bread and someone is hungry. Yes, I give them a piece of that. Share your pure, beautiful thoughts you have with someone. It will be uplifting to someone else. And so keep thinking of sharing. And so that's what I feel deeply about today, is how can I make this act of giving an act that comes from a generous heart and help my brothers and sisters in the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a lead from you and start going first from now on. One of the things that we're taught in pastoral care as clergy is this idea of inherent biases we all have. And a lot of times they lie in our blind spots. Part of the biggest thing I think that stops us from having a more peaceful world are those inherent biases. And you might be a good person, you might be a really wholesome person, you might really love people, but I'm here to tell you, you have a bias somewhere. And that bias blocks you from truly connecting with your neighbor, truly loving them and supporting them and working with them in some way to promote peace. So I would challenge you to begin looking for those inherent biases within yourselves. Partner with someone you trust to help point out those biases in your lives so that you're able to then better connect with those people around you and promote peace. If we don't start working together to be more interconnected as human beings, if we don't shed the notion that we must do everything ourselves, we must be individuals all of the time, we're not going to fix the climate. We're not going to promote peace. We're not going to have inner peace. And we'll be doomed to repeat history and all the bad things that have happened. So begin working to wipe out those biases and promote interconnectivity between each person around you.
Thank you. So if there's any questions from the audience, maybe we can take a couple of those before we end off maybe with a lovely meditation from Sister Anjani. Or even comments, yeah, anything. No, yeah? You can use this mic.
So I'd like to pick the earlier point you mentioned earlier, right? I mean, so there is a whole system going. I will take the analogy of like flowing river, right? So the water is flowing in one way, and we are all trying to swim the opposite way, right? The whole system and the whole system is designed to make the destruction, to consume the more, the whole economy. So unless you fix that, I mean, however you try to swim the other way, I mean, you're not going to reach there, right? So maybe I would love to hear some of the thoughts around like what are the. So I come from like software background, and one of the example is that like the latest those machine learning, the where you train the robot, you give them a goal, saying this is your goal. I mean, you don't teach them like every step, but how you teach them is basically saying the make mistake you punish, if the step take the right step, take the step in the right direction, you reward. And I think the whole system is like that, right? I mean, like it's some way it just basically rewards you how you take the steps and punish you other way. So love to hear thoughts around basically what, I mean, the other things, I mean, there are lot many problems, but there's what can we do to fix that like underlying system and the economy, how it works.
I mean, historically, you know, if you look at system changes, when there's a big system change, a revolution, it's frequently led by a spiritual revolution, because it's the spiritual revolution which shows the underlying fault of the other system change. But I mean, you know, it's all based on profit. This idea of profit and everything's worked out. You know, I mean, but now these corporations, they've got their own systems and logic, and you know, operate in this kind of scale that we can't even really imagine. That we just become these tiny. Yeah, I don't know. That's a question that I haven't figured out yet, but someone needs to.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your views. I just, it wasn't mentioned literally, but in terms of peace or interconnectivity, not only within yourself, but on a global scale across humanity, would you say that humility towards yourself, but humility towards others, like breaking down that pride, the differences, and calling upon a higher power or higher person like God, being humble with God, would be a genesis for all this reaction, this sort of domino effect of trying to achieve peace, whether it's, you know, making a change in terms of environment and, you know, getting rid of plastic bottles or decreasing them, or in terms of your inherent biases, etc. The role of humility, would comment on that.
So I'm also a student at Brene Brown. I don't know if y'all know her. She talks a lot about vulnerability and openness, and how we get past shame in our lives. And one of the things is you have to be able to say when you've made a mistake, and that means being humble and having humility. And I find that's a very difficult thing for a lot of people. It's something I've tried to cultivate in myself, but it is a very difficult thing. But I think it's because we have it upside down. We think to be humble is to be weak, but it's upside down. To be humble is to be strong. You know, it's courageous to be humble. It's courageous to be vulnerable. And we think it's courageous to be tough, or to shut everybody out, or to be alone. But no, it's more courageous to be vulnerable and to be with other people, and try to make authentic connection with people. That's more courageous. And so, yes, I think humility is very important. I'd like to go back a little bit. I think the gentleman before was asking about a vision of how we go forward. What is our task next? I think the first thing we need to do is educate ourselves about what's going on and what's happening. Talk about capitalism. You know, there's a lot of people in this country that think socialism is a bad word, and they just don't know. So first thing is education, and the second thing is being able to have those vulnerable conversations with people who disagree with you, and being curious about how they came about their decision or their opinion. So I don't know if you know Parker Palmer. He wrote a book called Healing the Heart of Democracy, and he talks a lot about how we can find a creative solution to our problems if we're able to hold that tension between our two opinions long enough that we'll find a place over it. You know, Rumi says, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. I think that's the place we need to go, beyond our differences, beyond these dualisms. And I think we can find our way there by vulnerable conversation and openness to each other.
Thank you.
Could I want to touch on what you said a moment, and then I'll come back to humility for just a moment, if you don't mind. And the other thing is a vote. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. said, you know, that it's great to be pulling people out of the water who are drowning, who've fallen into the river, but it does no good if you don't look upstream to see why they keep falling in the river, you know. And so the only way we're ever going to make effective change the systems that exist is, number one, the internal things that we do to change ourselves, finding those inherent biases, rooting out racism even in ourselves, rooting out that nationalism and everything else that lies in our hearts.
Which is all based on fear.
It is. It's all based on fear of change, fear of being, you know, removed as the dominant person or the dominant system. And then vote for people who actually are going to affect change. You know, it's hard because the politicians say we want to hear and hopes to get elected. But you can tell if you watch and listen to them and look at their record. You know, in the Christian scripture, it talks about you'll know them by their fruits. So if you see that they are constantly struggling to change the system, that they're voting and trying to change it, trying to make it better, then that's the person we need to elect. But if we keep electing the same people who keep putting in the same systems, we're never going to make a change. It's never going to happen. And well, that's a good question. Again, that's part of what we have to do, is we have to change the people who are leading it. You know, a lot of people thought that electing the current administration was electing someone who wasn't corrupt, somebody who was an outsider who could affect change, not realizing and not looking at his past to see that he had been corrupt for decades. For decades, he had been corrupt. So the only way we're going to affect change in the corrupt system is by changing the corrupt people who put those systems in place. So we have to do that. As far as humility goes, something I'm having to learn too. Franciscans, we tend to focus a lot on humility and being humble, almost to the point of a fault, because then we begin practicing false humility. We can't accept compliments. We can't accept when we do good things. That's part of that too, that humility is not falling into the trap of false humility, but practicing true internal humility, where we focus more on helping others more than our own good and our own needs.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. Thank you, all of you, for such a rich discussion that we had. Just want to piggyback on the brother's question, and that's what I would like to ask Sister Anjani to kind of help us with this, because in Brahma Kumari's teachings we talk about that when we change, the world changes. So if you could take us from that point into a meditation commentary, we would love that.
When we change, the world changes. We are the change we would like to see in others. And just going back to this aspect also of humility, we have a beautiful image that reminds us of humility, and that is a tree laden with fruits. When there is humility, like the tree, the fruits, it's like it bows down. Everyone can receive something. You go to the grapevines, you go to the apple trees now, what you will see, they're laden with fruits, and it bows down. So in the same way, when I have my self-respect, which comes from the innate qualities of the soul, and which comes also from my connected relationship with God, and that relationship that I see with all my brothers and sisters in the whole world by seeing them as beings of light. Change becomes very easy. We do not need to fight change. Humility will be natural. Humility will become a power of the soul instead of a power which is physical. So it's not about a physical power. It is about a spiritual power that when I am in that awareness of being humble, what happens? I am in my self-respect. When I think of our prophet souls, whether it's Christ, Abraham, Buddha, whoever they may be, they all had to go through and endure lots of difficulties. But one of their outstanding quality was humility. Even when I look at our founding father of this organization, he had to tolerate so much, but he never used the word tolerance. Why? Because when I think I'm tolerating, it's a pressure. And the example that we use here, it's like a pressure cooker. You tolerate, you tolerate, you tolerate, and then what happens? You finally explode like a cooker, like a pressure cooker. And then when that explosion happens, there is destruction, there is sorrow, there is pain. And so this is where everything starts with me going back within my own self. I might be repeating myself, but while I repeat this again and again, it's as though I'm going into the depth of what exists within me. Because when I am in touch with what exists in me, it takes me to the highest heights I need to go to, I need to reach out to. I can break all the barriers, all the bondages, all the things that divides me from the world, from everything around me. Because peace starts with me. The changes that I want to see starts with me. And this is where our founding father, going through his difficulties, he always remembered this lesson. I have to do it. I have to be it. I have to live by that. And today that message is still our message. The message of his life, of what he did, remains our message for our change. That I have to do it. I cannot wait for anyone to do it. But let me start. Let it all start with me. Not by me even sitting here in front of you and talking about it. But let it start with me, start where my thoughts become peaceful and where I share that peace or whatever it is that I need to share. Someone may come in front of me and say, I want love. And I say, no, but I need love. But if I go within myself, I will find that there is this rich quality of love that lives there. It's there. All I need to do is to remember. So from today, never forget, or I should say, always remember that what you have within you is the resources and treasures. That is abundance. Just move to that silent space within, which we are going to do right now, so that we can explore that world we have, which is so wealthy and prosperous. So let's all sit comfortable, relax, put away anything you're holding. Just let it all go. And I want to first respect this body that I'm living in. This body that is very precious to me. This body that has come from Mother Nature. This body that was given to me with great respect. This body that I need to do and enjoy my existence in this world. And I respect this body by giving to it that which will keep it healthy, that which will create peace in the world. Even to eat the food which doesn't speak of peace is violating the rules of Mother Nature. So even that I become aware of, that I need to respect the animal kingdom. And now I move within my own kingdom, my own inner world. And I recognize that what lives within me is what I've been looking around for. I moved to different places, to different people. I looked everywhere to find whether peace, love, happiness, comfort, caring, humility. But all these qualities is just one thought away. As I create the thought of peace, I am peaceful. It is like bringing and breathing the energy of peace within. And as I breathe out, holding the awareness of this thought of peace, I share peace with the world. We are all connected. It is like God as the seed of the tree. And from that seed, the whole tree emerges. Whether it's the different religions, whether it's the twigs and the branches, each single leaf came from that seed. When I see my world family as this living human tree, I have the greatest love and respect for everyone. Connectedness is that which is natural. All I need to do is to be aware, to be present in my mind as I talk to anyone who I think doesn't look like me. I look at them as the spiritual being and go beyond that which I think divides us, because there is actually no division. I create it with my own mind. So I allow myself this moment to pull all the barriers down, stand above the world as the astronauts do, and look down on planet Earth, and what you will see is one global family, the family of God. My beautiful family, the family who's asking God for peace, for love, for happiness, And so let me be that one who at this moment commit to myself to be peaceful. When I'm faced with an adverse situation, allow the self to pause. Pause for peace. First think, and then decide what are those words I would like to share, I would like to give, that will uplift someone who is falling. And as I leave that thought of peace with that individual, I've given the greatest gift. The gift that brings upliftment. And so each one of us make that determined thought to bring that one transformation that will give me an opportunity to live in this world that is falling apart. I can share something that will help my brothers and sisters. And so let's all take this moment in a silent space within myself and create that one determined thought that I will go back with. I will return to my home and family and business, but I will live by this thought. And this thought will create a better world inside me. And this thought will also create a better world for others. It's an energy. It's a vibration. It's like the satellite that connects all of us. So in the silence, create that one thought. Fill that thought with the power by taking it to God, the ocean of all powers. And I allow that thought to become my life, my mantra. Wherever I am, I live by that thought. Om Shanti. Shanti. Thank you very much. Thank you for a facilitator. Can we give her a round of applause?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much again for this lovely discussion, the lovely meditation experience. I was totally lost. Thank you. And actually, I found myself in that, losing myself. So, and a special, wonderful thanks to Gemini. She really does it very well. She really brings so much of life to all the panel conversations. So, one bit we have a gift for each one of you, and Sister Anjani is going to give to you. And just hold on for a moment. It's coming. It's on its way. So each one of you will get a Peace in the Park bag, a tote bag, a Peace in the Park t-shirt. So the size we just guessed, but if it doesn't work for you, let us know, we can change it. And there's a book on meditation. There's some sweets for your heart. Those sweets have been Yes, and this sweet has been prepared with a lot of love and a lot of meditation, so it has its own power. Yes, and the blessing card is in it. No. Card? Sorry, the blessing cards are on their way. Just hold on. You've already received all the blessings you would needed to receive, right? Because you served. But the blessing card, yes, it's coming.
Maybe everyone can read their blessing.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Read it.
Yeah, can you please step?
Oh,
Oh, I'm supposed to read this?
do you want me to read it or something? This is right here. Is it visible? All right, just 1 second. If we could have everyone's attention.
You have become one who transforms yourself by having pure thoughts about the self instead of making remarks about others. That's wonderful. Beautiful. I like that.
Heather. 1 second. Could we have just 1 second? Yeah.
I don't have my reading glasses on. What is that word?
Your inner.
Inner. You bring your inner beauty to the soul through your outpouring of love.
Wonderful.
Through your good wishes, seeds of peace find their way deep into the hearts and minds of others.
Wonderful. Who else is there?
All right. No, it's for you. Yes. All right. Thank you, panelists. Just if I could have a few minutes more of your attention, if everyone could sit down for a moment, we are going to end with what we call as a peace march. And we did it last year. It was a lot of fun. But we'll start with music and a song to take us into that zone, so that then when we go on the peace march, it'll be a great experience. All right? Everybody is ready for the peace march. Everybody wants to do that? All right. So who are the main people who are going to lead? Let me take a moment to... Can I have everybody's attention just for a minute? Hi. All right. Can I have your attention for a moment? Can you request them to... Can you tell them to... Yeah. Okay. So, who are the ones who are going to hold the dove? Could I have a show of hands? Who are the ones who are going to hold the dove? Who are the ones who are going to lead?
It's not hard.
Okay. So dove, somebody, 2-3 of you can take the dove. All right. So we're going to take the dove in a moment and we'll go on a march. All right. But before that, there will be a song and I want to introduce David. I already did. And David, as I had mentioned earlier, he's an excellent musician. Many times when we have had these events, he has played. He plays from his heart. It always touches others' hearts because he plays from his heart. And so we're going to listen to his music. And meanwhile, Kanishta is going to sing the first two what do you call those, stanzas, right? Verses, sorry, thank you, I appreciate that. First two verses, and then we will start on our peace march. All right? As we give you the indication, then you all stand up and we'll have that peace march. Sounds good? There was supposed to be another musician.
Yeah, we didn't think this early, so supposed to be here
At 2. It's 2:08. That's okay.
we gave him a 2:30 start time.
Sounds good. Okay, sorry. All right, so could we have everybody back here for a moment? Can we tell everyone that it's going to be a peace march? Yeah. Brother Steve, please. We can wait for a minute. Yeah. David, meanwhile, you can play some gentle music. Everybody.
If I may, I recently was invited from 12:30 to 1:30, and then it was changed from 12 to 2. But I have obligation this afternoon, so I can't stay much. Well, I enjoyed it. We had a guacamole. What was it? The green on the sandwiches. I said, that's guacamole. It wasn't guacamole. But it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. So we do need to leave. Thank you. Appreciate you. Chris Hall's a good friend of ours. We enjoyed it.
Let's go back there for a minute. We're going to have that song and then a peace march. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's go quickly. David, as always, thank you. It was a pleasure. It's always a pleasure listening to you. All right, so now we're going to have that song and music. David is going to accompany as well on this. And Kanishka, you have a microphone. I think this is the best one.
So before we start this peace march, we all are going to create very beautiful energy of peace together. This song will really take you into that deep experience of peace that we have been experiencing for the past couple of hours. But this song will really take you into deep experience.
The second musician is here, so we can wait for a minute more. We can wait for a minute more because
So,
all right.
just become aware of who you are. We all are peaceful beings. We all are here to spread peace in the world. We have this special purpose of bringing peace, to bring about the transformation in this world. So let's stabilize ourselves in this awareness that we all are peaceful beings. And the mantra that will really take you into that awareness is Om Shanti. Om means I am, and Shanti means peace. So Om Shanti reminds us that I am peace. And this is what this song is going to talk about, that we all are peaceful beings. song is a sacred song. Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om. I am a peaceful soul. बड़ा ही सुख कर ये मंत्र मनोहर ओम शांति ओम. This great mantra brings such happiness that surrounds the soul. Om Shanti Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti Om. I am a peaceful soul. All sing out this song Om Shanti throughout the earth and sky. Throughout the earth and sky. Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti की शक्ति से घर भी होता मौन. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti Om. I am a peaceful soul. All sing out this song Om Shanti throughout the earth and sky. Throughout the earth and sky. Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om. Sing Om Shanti, burn negativity in the fire of God's love. In the fire of God's love. Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti की महिमा समझे दुनिया की हर कौम. Let people everywhere the sweet meaning of Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti kindles the light, giving life to the soul. Giving life to the soul. Om Shanti Om. of mortal ignorance. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti, Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti, Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti, Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti, Om. Come inside. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti, Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Come everyone. Come everyone, come. Om. I am a peaceful. Everyone come together, sing together. Om Shanti, Om. I am a peaceful soul. Om Shanti, Om. Everyone come. I am a peaceful soul.